Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to the show. Hold on, this is going back. All right, there we go. Make things easier, a little confusing. And there we go. I got it figured out. Little crazy today. Hey, welcome to the live tonight. We got a good discussion. We're going to talk about the cost of Harley Davidson of buying one. Is it worth it? Are there other brands out there that are more economical? Where does Harley fit in with the pricing? Before we get started, though, I want to thank all of my sponsors: Yankee Harley Davidson, Cape Cod Harley Davidson, and of course the Heyman Law Firm. Because when you go down, they'll pick you up. Excuse me, beer's getting to me. So, without further ado, we're going to bring in my co-host tonight, Mr. Tweedle D. What's up, Tweedle?
Just happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to say hello to everybody in the side chat. Jake, Lone Star Cowboys, Salty Bagger, Gliding on 2, Your Daddy, Hells, Roadie Riders, how are you? Frogzilla. Let's see who else is in here. XAN Biker, hello. PA Biker 65, hello. DeWitt, Corey, my beautiful bride, Mel. Randy Russell's here. How are you? And I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. And any of the people in the background that's not commenting in the side chat, hello and welcome to the show. So uh, let's start off with, why I buy a Harley. And I want to find out from Tweedle why he bought the Harley over other brands. Now, for me, I have owned uh, Japanese bikes in the past, but mostly, the crotch rockets for the speed and everything. And I went to the Harley because one, I couldn't afford it when I started riding until I was 40 years old and I can afford a Harley. And it's always been my dream to own a Harley. So that's how I got into it. And of course, it's always the badass stigma that goes with owning and riding a Harley that goes with it because I'm anything but. Um, why did you get into Harley Davidson, Tweedle?
So I started out on a Suzuki TL 1000R crotch rocket. Young, you do crotch rockets. So I had that one, ended up selling it after I got married. And then after the divorce, I decided I wanted another bike. So I went with Harley uh, because I can work on it. Air cooled, real easy to do anything to it. A lot of
Yep.
options to do anything to it. And well, technically, I still have a 1975 Suzuki RE5 that was my dad's, but it's just sitting there collecting dust. It don't even run.
Yep.
It's a little more
Understandable.
outside of my skill level because it's a rotary engine.
Yep.
So
Yep. So I'm going to share a screen real quick here.
go
It's
for
going to be, we're going to start right off with the top with the Ultra Limited on the price. As everybody can see, the price on that is $29,799. Let's make this full screen. Of cost, that's just the base MSRP. That's without any the destinations, the dealer conveyance, insurance, taxes, the fee FIFO fum fee, the fee, just because fee, and the Harley tax. So the base MSRP is, 29,799. Now to compare that, we're going to compare that right off with the Indian Roadmaster Limited. And why that? Because that's a very, apples to apples bike. And let me just bring it up here. There it is. And here's the Indian Roadmaster bike. And that bike is 31,749. So we're looking at, actually, the Indian is more expensive than the Harley, and they were both in black, and there's no other costs with it, right? Uh, there's a $800 surcharge which will apply, plus a destination setup, which they're not even suggesting what that is. They're just telling you, hey, this is what it costs. So for cost wise, between Harley and Indian, between the Grandpa Glide, which is the Ultra Limited, to the Indian Roadmaster Limited. Comparing apples to apples. You know, Harley is definitely, a less expensive bike. But, with that, another comparable bike would be the Honda Goldwing. And I have that tab up as well. And let's take a look at the Goldwing. So the base Goldwing, which is an automatic DCT without the tour pack, so it's not comparing an apple to apple. But when you look at the Goldwing Tour, right, which is not an automatic, the base price on that is $28,600, where the Ultra was $29,700. If you ask me, you get more with the Harley. Yes, the Harley is a V twin. The Goldwing's a V6. But I believe, my own personal opinion, it's a better motorcycle. There's other reasons we're going to get into it further on why I think Harley is the better deal over any other brands. What do you think about this so far, Tweedle?
It's very educational because Harley's really not that far out of the ballpark.
No, they're actually in the middle on that
Yeah.
one model, on that one style. So when you
Yep.
take a full tour bike and you compare it to a Goldwing and to the Indian, right? The Indian's more expensive. The Goldwing's less expensive. The Harley's right there in the middle, and it's like maybe 1,000, 1,500 in either direction.
Yeah.
So
There's also other things that come along with that, which we're going to get on further down
we're
the
going to
line.
get into that later on in the
Yep.
video. So, what does everybody think of that so far? Are you surprised? Because everybody says Harley Davidson prices are so far out there that they're unattainable. And this is what drives me to this, because they're not. They're actually in the ballpark of everybody else. When Tweedle and I were talking one day, curiosity hit him with, well, how much is that 1,000 RR? And they're like 20 grand now, which is
Yeah.
double what they were when Tweedle bought the bike. So, hey, what's up, Nori? Hey, Mike Jerowitz. Heck, Mike says you can't put a price on that Rumble.
True.
You know that feeling. And he's right. You can't. Hey, Blue is here. What's up, Blue?
Hey,
Steve
Blue.
Turner, how are you? Let's see. Tweedledee install price is so far out there, it's ridiculous.
He must have got my bill.
I guess so. $1,000 an hour times 10 hours?
Yep. Well, it was 8 hours.
Oh, okay. I was padding it for you.
We had to go fetch tools and had to take a lunch break. So
See, now Jake says when you're comparing touring to touring, it really isn't that far out there. Most folks just don't want to spend that much money. You know what? That's absolutely correct, Jake. So you know what? Let's bring up.
Let's segue into the next class.
Yep. Let's see. So we'll go into cruiser. Now, a middle line cruiser, I would say, would be the Lowrider S or the Fat Bob. We'll go with the Fat Bob.
Fat Bob.
Or the Street Bob. Let's go with the Street Bob because that's a standard Harley look. The Fat Bob is a little bit out there. And my fingers are doing weird things right now with the screen. So the Fat Bob, let me bring it up for everybody. The Fat Bob is $16,599. Okay, so it's $16,500 for the Fat Bob. And now, is that with the red color? Yes. So if we actually take the red color out, we go with the base black. It's still $16,599 is the base MSRP. Now,
before you go on, can you take Jake's comment down? It's kind of covering up prices and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
So yeah,
We're doing something complicated tonight.
yeah. I got lots of tabs going here, and I'm searching different things. So the Street Bob is 16.6. They'll round that off. Now, if we look at Suzuki, we'll go to the motorcycles, and we'll find one that's compatible. Okay, Cruiser. Now we're going to compatible as far as uh, engine size. Like the Suzuki Boulevard C50T is not a compatible size, but the Boulevard M109 is. And the Suzuki Boulevard M109 is 15,599. Now I'll bring that up so everybody could see that one. Where'd it go? Oh, I chose the wrong one because it opened a new tab. I'm new at this.
No, you got a lot going on. You're doing perfectly fine.
Yep. So here's the Boulevard, and you could see it that right here in the corner, it's 16 or 15,599, which is comparable for the Street Bob.
Although I do see
Now,
some pluses there, which I'm sure they got pluses on the
yeah, well, the plus is
Fat
it's a
Bob also.
liquid cooled motor, right? It's more of it's a cruiser, but a sport cruiser. Where the Street Bob it's a cruiser. It's just a basic cruiser for 16.5. Where the Boulevard it is 15.5. So it's $1,000 less. But when you think about it, $1,000 is not a lot of money when you talk about buying a brand new motorcycle.
And
So,
I'm curious to know what the weight difference between the two is.
well, that's easy to find out. Let's look at it. So we'll scroll down. We'll get that's the gallery, features, specifications. All right, it's a 1783cc 4-stroke, liquid cooled. Compression's 10.5 to 1. Is that maybe on the dimensions? Curb weight 746 pounds for the Boulevard. Now the
764.
Yep. And let's see, chassis. I'm trying to find it here. Dimensions, rake.
So I figure weight
Okay,
difference in
it
the
is
two may be a
600
selling price too.
655 pounds for the Street Bob.
So there's 109-pound difference between the two.
Yes. And depending on where the center of gravity is, you might not feel it.
No, that's true. But you are talking about dual overhead cam, liquid cooled.
Yep.
So that right there adds weight.
Yep. You know, when we look at now another comparable model, which is the Indian Chief, which I'll bring up now. Indian Chief. You can see that's 14,999, 15 grand. You know, you compare that to the Harley, And I'm going by engine size, vehicle size, which is 16.5. So 16.5 compared to 15. So the Harley is more expensive than the Indian by $1,500. So you would save that $1,500 in getting something like the Chief over the Street Bob.
The Suzuki was 764 pounds. The Harley was 655. Well, what's the Indian?
Well, let's bring up the specifications.
Is that to me that would be like some people's driving point, weight reduction.
Yep. Let me see. I'm looking for the specifications. Today, Chief. Let's see. Explore the model, maybe.
Specs. You see it right underneath where it says Chief and overview features, accessory specs. It's to the left of the stop right there. Go all the way to your left with your cursor. There you go. And specs is right on the other side of accessories.
Yep. And
So
it's an air-cooled Thunderstroke 111. Fuel specifications. Weight as shipped and running order is 670 pounds. Where the Harley
it's 655.
655. So the Harley is actually a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
So, the myth of Harleys being expensive or overpriced,
Heavy.
I could say that we have busted that myth. And Jake goes right here. Might save the $1,500 on an Indian, but aftermarket seems lesser. Well, but when you go to State Farm, you save that money as well. And call Jake. I'm with Dean. Call it what it is. It's Polaris. You're 100% right. Polaris is the manufacturer. The model is Indian. The submodel, it would be the Chief. Hey, Dean, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you, Zen. It's good to see you, too. So, we'll go segue right into this next section. Why Harley over the others? Why spend the more or less within, let's say, within $2,000, right? Either way, you could spend more for one model or less for another brand, but Harley Davidson's in the middle. Why would you buy the middle of the road? My personal opinion is one, the dealer network. The network of dealers throughout the country. If you take your bike and you go on a cross-country ride and you break down, you're under warranty, within 50 miles, which most tows will pay for 50 miles of tow to the nearest repair place, they'll tow it to a Harley place, and your Harley warranty puts you up at a Motel 6, and then it gets fixed. Now, if you have an Indian, now for me in Connecticut, we have one, and they're up all the way up in Danbury. The next one is in Springfield, Mass. So the network is not as wide. In Connecticut, we've got 4 Harley dealerships, 1 Indian. As far as Suzuki, I think there's 2, maybe 3. As far as Honda, I think there's 2. And Kawasaki, there's 1 in New Haven, 1 in Hartford. So, there are other options. And Hells brings up a good point. There's a less expensive option. It's a Softail standard.
Yep.
Same setup, just the 107 versus the 114. And that's why I picked that Hells is because I was comparing comparable models, close to engine displacement and close to size and as close as possible as payments or the cost. And, that was to me the best thing to do. Uh, the dealer network to me is the best in the market on any motorcycle. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. Just my
Well,
opinion.
not only piggyback off the dealer network, but when you buy a Harley, if you look at the other manufacturers, their stores, Harley always has doing something for their customers at all their dealerships. So
Yeah.
really, you're paying for not only that, but you can go hang out there anytime you want, and they're not going to run you off. They
Yep.
actually have entertainments and all that stuff there for you.
Yep. It's the
So
lifestyle. It's, you're not buying just a Harley, you're buying into the lifestyle, whether you choose to be in that lifestyle or not. That's totally up to you. And I'm not talking
yeah,
the biker MC lifestyle. No, I'm talking the
mhm.
Harley Davidson lifestyle where, you see
The
somebody on the
hog group
Harley,
and all that.
group rides, things like that. You have a Harley, you see another guy with a Harley, you guys got something in common, you'll just start talking.
Yep.
Brought all of us together on YouTube. The common denominator was we make videos about Harley Davidson and their motorcycles and their products. So there's that aspect of it. I'm sure there's one out there for the Gold Wings. I'm sure there's one out there for the Boulevards. I'm sure there's one out there for all of them, to include the crotch rockets. And there's nothing wrong with the crotch rocket. Um, I just don't want to be bent over the tank doing 200 plus miles an hour all the time, or bent
Well,
over the tank sitting in traffic.
see, people say we pay more for a Harley, and in all reality, which you just showed, we really don't pay all that much more.
Actually, in
But
some
we get a
cases,
lot more out of the bikes because we do buy Harley.
yep. And in some cases, you're paying less.
Because I remember we had the conversation, we was talking about the crotch rockets. I remember what they were back in early 2000s. I remember what I paid for mine, and it's nowhere even close now.
Yep.
It's still more than the Fat Bob that you just showed
Yeah.
in most cases.
There's one out there for the Sportster. Yes. Yeah, there is. I mean, if you want, we can compare the Sportster, yes, to other brands. Let me bring that up. That's a good point, Els. So maybe Hells might be in the market for a performance Sportster S. You know? Well, do we want to do the Nightster? Yeah, let's start. We'll do base models.
Okay.
All right. So the regular Sportster Nightster, which is the base model for that. And let's take a look at it. I'll share it. All right. So we're looking at the 2023 Nightster, which is $13,499. It's an overhead cam motor. It's liquid cooled. Now we'll come down to the specifications. All right. I think that's under dimensions. It's 481 pounds. Weight shipped is 462. So we'll go with the 462. Now we'll look at Suzuki. All right, Street. Come on, Street. Why is it showing me the katana? Well, you know what? The C50T I think would be comparable. Let's take a look at it real quick. It's an 805cc motor, where this here is a performance or engine.
75. Oh, no.
Exhaust 975 motor compared to, okay, yeah, that is comparable. So let's bring up the pricing on that, which is $10,359 and comparable to the price of the Nightster of $13,400. So it's $3,500 more from a Nightster to the Suzuki C50T, the Boulevard, and I'll show everybody that in a minute. So yes, it is more expensive, and that's how, that's probably where a lot of people are getting their information from, that Harleys are more expensive because they're looking at the base model. And there you go. There's the Boulevard. And the Boulevard pricing, as you can see, right up here, is $10,359. So yes, the Boulevard is a better deal for the money. However, Harley runs a buyback program once in a while that they will give you what you paid for your Sportster or your Sportster S on trading for a newer bike. So what are you losing? You're losing out on the interest and the taxes. And you're going to get that money back towards a bigger bike. And Jake makes up a good point. Nothing else on the market sounds quite like a Harley. That is exactly correct. Now, if we want to look at the specs of an Indian, right, I believe that would be a Scout. So let's get out of the Chief. Go to motorcycles. That'd be a Cruiser and the Scout. This is their baseline bike, and it's $10,749. So yes, even the Indian is less expensive, and we'll show you that in a second. So when you look at the Scout in black, non-ABS, it's $10,749 MSRP. The weight on that bike, because I know you were going to ask me about that. And we're going to find the specs on this. That's another thing. The websites are really hard to find anything.
Well, I'm just curious about the mid range, because there are some people who say, well, Harleys are too heavy.
Yep. Specs. There we go. View all specs. Weight as shipped is 548 pounds. Now let's go to the specs for the Sportster.
548 for running order.
Yeah.
So that's the wet weight.
Yep.
I think gliding on twos is slipping his noggin.
Yep.
He says my bike sounds like a Sasha killer. We shall see.
Well, also, you get an analog display instrument with segmental LCD on the Sportster. So you get some technology with it. So there are benefits and different things you get with the Harley over the Indian. The Indian, you get an analog gauge. The Sportster, you're getting the little digital gauge with some technology into it. You get the TPMS, the ABS, where the Indian is non-ABS. Same thing with the Suzuki. It's non-ABS, where the Sportster's ABS. So that actually could, explain the cost difference. People just see the price, but they don't look at why is it more and what are you getting for that money? Well, one is the dealer network. too, there's more technology and more features in that bike. What do you think about that?
Technology plays a part in it. Weight, motor size, all that.
Yep. Now let's uh let's look at some Grand American Touring. All right, so we're going to look at the regular Road Glide. All right, which is the Road Glide Special, which is not a bad looking bike. And the base MSRP on that is $27,990. So we'll call it 28 grand. All right, and do I have a color selected on this? Let's go with a basic black color, vivid black, which is 28 grand. Because when you add different colors, you're adding 2,500 for color options, or 750 for straight color. But vivid black with chrome finish is $28,000. Now on Indian, I'm going to have to find what a comparable bike is for that. Let's see, Cruiser Bagger. I would say the Challenger would be comparable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
To the Road Glide.
Yeah, I think that would work. We're just ballparking this anyway, so we ain't trying to be, be kind of hard to hit it dead on the nail.
Yeah. So let's see. So we got 28 grand for the Harley. For the Indian Challenger, or Polaris Challenger, you're at 25 grand. So it's a $3,000 difference. And when you're spending this kind of money, $3,000 is a lot of money. However, dealer network availability comes into play. I don't know about you. Every time I walk into a Harley dealer, there's always a Road Glide, a Street Glide in the dealership. You walk into an Indian dealership, every time I walk into it, they might have one or two bikes, and that's it. And they can order one for you, and that could just take whoever knows how long.
Yeah, and you're also looking at reliability too, because from what I've seen and heard with this particular comparison, one's way more reliable than the other.
When would you say it's more reliable?
The Harley.
Is that because you own one, or is that a fact?
That's what I've learned from watching people with some Indians of those, and they break, and then they complain because their bike's in the shop. That's where I draw that conclusion from.
I don't think so, Jake. Jake's asking, did they make anything pay homage to their history or their grassroots? No, because they really don't have grassroots, because they're really not Indian. The Polaris licensed to use the Indian name. They're not truly an Indian. Indian's been bought and sold so many times over the years that a true Indian is, to me, from 1901 to 1940s, to the mid 1940s. After that, they've been bought and sold so many times, they're not really Indian anymore. I mean, there was a time that Indian was being reproduced in Springfield. They looked like Indians, but they had an S&S motor and a Baker 6-speed. And that's not an Indian. That's a Harley with dressed up as an Indian. It's putting, lipstick on the pig. And I call it a pig because Harley's known for hogs. Yeah, they do the Jack Daniels bike, but I could buy all the Jack Daniels stuff and throw it on my bike, and I'm a big Jack Daniels fan, and I don't. Is Jack Daniels going to pay me for riding around advertising their stuff? Absolutely not. However, if they want to sponsor this channel, I'd be up to that option. Free bottles of Jack Daniels. I'll be drinking Jack Daniels on every live.
With Jack Daniels Cup.
Then I would send a bottle to every guest I have come on. But that's not going to happen. Yeah. Well, you know what, Jake? They're not really cheaply built. I've actually worked on a couple here. I've done handlebars, I've done exhaust, I've done tires on them. And believe it or not, they're a lot harder to work on than in Harley. I mean, just as something as simple as the back tire. It's really a pain in the neck to get that back tire out. You have to disconnect the rear shocks, which is 2 bolts underneath the bike in the middle of the swing arm, and there's 2 spacers on each side of the shock. You have to release those to drop the swing arm. You could leave the caliper in place, but you have to roll the bike up out of the brake caliper. I just find it easier and safer just to remove it. I did a head pipe on Indian. It took me 4 hours just to disconnect the front O2 sensor because I had to remove just about everything out of the front of the bike to include the battery, just to get to that O2 sensor plug. Just won't do it.
Comes back to me liking Harley because they're easier to work on.
Yep, they are much easier. I mean, Christ, I did 2 suspensions yesterday in 4 hours, front and rear.
You ain't gonna rub that in.
Listen, I mean, experience pays off with time. I mean, I'm sure when you get a couple hundred suspensions under your belt, you'll be right there with me, if not faster.
Well, to be fair, the rear shocks it took us both about the same amount of time to do. The fronts, on the other hand, we had to go find tools, and finding certain tools can be a task.
Yep. Yeah, and Zen says, I've heard Harley Davidson motors going hundreds of thousands of miles. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Harley actually, if you have a bike with over 100,000 miles, they actually send you a plaque and things like that. They have one bike in the museum in Milwaukee. It's a 250,000 mile bike on the original motor.
Sounds like Ruby needs to get back on the road. She ain't too far off from that.
Yeah. Hell, do they even make luxury lines like CVOs? No. They had their Dark Horse edition, which was a very nice looking bike. And I know Indian's center of gravity is lower than Harley. But when I rode an Indian, the first gear was so short that, Christ, I was going halfway, not even halfway through the intersection. I had to get the second gear because it was winding out. Yeah. Hells goes, that Indian sounds like a liberal Harley. It's have a whole lot of front fork being die cast, pot metal issues a couple years ago. You know what? I don't know. I don't follow Polaris at all on their motorsports or anything. But if I was going to get a side by side or a quad, yeah, it'd be Polaris. It's more complicated and less quality materials. Maybe not. I'm back. I'm riding on 3s.
Hill was cracking me up.
I get a plaque. My motors make it 10K.
He needs a plaque that makes it 5K.
I was going to say that he gets a silver plaque that makes 5K. He gets a platinum plaque that makes 10K. Riding on 3 says I got 36K to go for 100K. Awesome. And Jake's telling Hells he's going to get him a plaque. So does everybody agree with me that the myth has been busted that Harleys are too expensive and they price themselves out of the market compared to everybody else? I would say yes, the myth has been busted. We looked at different models from, their touring to uh, sport touring to softail type cruisers to the entry level bikes. Yes, it is
Terrible.
a less
It's busted.
expensive entry level bike, but they're not going to run the special. I think they do it every year or every other year. Trade in that Sportster, and we'll give you what you paid for it on trade in towards a newer
Yes,
bike.
I agree. They are pretty much either in the middle or just off a little plus or minus. But like Riding on Three says, yes, they're overpriced, especially lower end bikes, but that's all bikes are overpriced now.
Yeah, all of them.
And that's
Not just Harley.
due to what I would consider government regulation.
Yeah. Steve Turner says he's got 117,000 miles on his Honda, which is not unheard of for a Honda. Hondas run forever.
Yeah.
They do. I don't care what anybody says. Hondas will run forever. They've really got their engineering down to a fine tooth comb when building their motors and reliability and dependability. Absolutely, 100%. But the dealer network, if you were going to ride your Harley to Daytona in March, how many Honda dealers are you going to find along Interstate I-95 versus how many Harley dealerships you find along Interstate I-95? I think between Connecticut and Daytona, Christ, there's at least 3 in every state along Interstate I-95.
For me going down 75, there's 5. And that's about 650-mile trip.
Yep.
And that's not even going over towards Jacksonville and down. That's just going straight down 75 before Arcola.
Yeah. And Hells even says, yeah, Doc really showed people that Harley is not overpriced or out of the market. No, they're actually they compete in the market at a competitive price. They're not, some are more expensive, but the most popular models are actually in the middle road. And the most popular models are the touring. They sell more touring bikes than they do anything else. They sell more touring than Softails. They sell more touring than Sportsters. I think the Sportster is the least selling bike they have right now, followed by the Softails, and then touring is leading the way. Because when people step up into a Harley, most people want the Road Glide, the Street Glide, the Ultras for that, for everything you get with it. Like for me, I love an Ultra. They're a lot more comfortable ride than the Street Glide or Road Glide because they have the taller sidewalls. They don't have the 19-inch wheel. They actually have I think they're 18-inch wheel, so there's an actual inch of sidewall on the front, so it leaves a little more cushioning for the road. Zen says, I think Harley Davidson longevity in the world is instant gratification. Yeah.
See, I think one of the big misconceptions is you hear is like, young people ain't getting on Harleys. But in all reality, I know for a lot of us, when we started out riding, pretty much learned on dirt bikes, went to crotch rockets, and then eventually our bodies was like, no, you got to get off of this. And either some people will jump to a metric cruiser because of being on a crotch rocket. Some people will just make the jump on the Harley. But as you get older, you do see the age that goes with the bikes. You do kind of progress and you do fall into it.
Well, not just that. The resale. So if you want to upgrade your bike, you can either trade it in or sell it privately.
Yep.
And I have a friend of mine. He's a big Kawasaki fan. He has
Okay.
more Kawasaki's than I have Harleys. He's got the big Kawasaki Touring. I think it's the Vulcan.
Right.
And he bought a new one, and he didn't want to trade his in because they gave him a ridiculous number, something like 8,000 on trade in, and he wants 15 grand. Well, he's been having that bike on the market now for 2 years, and he's lowered it down to 13,000 and no bites. He had one bite. Someone says they'll give you 8,500 for it, and he told them pound sand.
So my question is, what's it blue book for? Is it like blue book for 15 or
Well, yeah,
okay?
the blue
I
book
don't know
is
what the
15.
resale on metric bikes are, so
So, it something is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. When
exactly.
someone says, "Hey, I got this baseball card, it's worth $100,000," and everybody only wants to give you 50 grand. Well, it's not worth 100 grand. It's only worth 50. You
Yep.
know, if you want to sell your motorcycle, I know what I got into it. I got $20,000 and it's got a stage two into it. Well, it's because they paid all that labor and that they're counting that as being into the bike, and they want 36,000. The bike's not worth 36,000, even with the money you invested. Not to
Nope.
take away the money you invested. You're not going to get it. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a Harley, but you're still not going to get it. You're going to get right somewhere between trade-in value and uh, blue book value.
Now I've been told before, which I don't agree with this, so don't think I am, but as soon as you start modifying that factory Harley, you're depreciating the value, no matter how much
Absolutely.
money you put into it.
Yep, absolutely. Because when you go to trade it in, oh, it's modified, it's this, that, and the other thing. And then when the dealership goes to sell it to you, they're going to tell you, oh man, it's got a cam, it's got this, it's the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. That's just
Yep.
standard sales techniques. But let's look at trade-in value. True story. I'll find the paperwork if you really want to see it to back it up. I had my 19 Rogue Light Special. I paid 29,000 for it in 2019. I traded in 2022 on my CVO. I had 15,000 miles on it. It had a stage two in it. They gave me 28,000 on trade. I lost $1,000 plus the stage two on that bike. So okay, I was out maybe 3 grand in parts. All right. So I lost 4 grand on that bike, but I had it for 3 years. I put 15,000 miles on it. So I had 15,000 miles of smiles and adventure and riding it, having fun. And it only cost me 4 grand. So that bike held its value. Where this guy's been sitting on his bike, it's the same year as my old Rogue Light, and he can't sell it.
You can. It's really hard to explain it, but there is you can if you know what you're getting into. If you get a bike cheap enough and you trade it in, you get another bike. You can make
Yep.
money on it
Yes.
and then trade it in again and go to something bigger and either break even or come over or come under, depending on what bike it is, what's done to it, you got a little plus or minus there.
Yep.
But
And
there is a way to progress all the way up to a bigger bike without dropping 40K on a bike and walking out the door.
and that's the only way I got my CVO is because they gave me such a great deal on trading, and I had a lot of equity in the bike to begin with. So I even had more equity than I thought I had
Mhm.
in the bike. So then I sat there and threw more money down on it, like 20%. So 20% off the MSRP, which was 43,000, which is a lot of money for a roguelite. I don't care if it's a CVO or not. 43,000 for a roguelite CVO. It's a lot of money. It's more than I paid for my AMG Mercedes. But when it came down to brass tacks, after my trade in with the equity coming off the bike and after my down payment coming off the bike, my payment duration and amount did not change. I got a 3-year newer bike. I got this all the CVO bells and whistles. I got this, hand paint job done by Harley. Well, Harley farms it out to another company, but I just didn't go in and buy a CVO with nothing. I worked up to it and had the equity and everything. So, and of course, it used to set the fact that in general, they've gotten expensive and it's not a brand specific. That is correct. But everybody's always saying Harley Davidsons are expensive. They've priced themselves way out of the market. And if you look at CVOs for the 2023, the standard color of that pewter, which is a metallic silver, it's 43,000. And the whiskey neat, that's what, 49,000. So
I don't know what the prices are on the new CVOs.
right. So yeah, that's in the outer atmosphere, but no one's going to go in with no equity and no cash to go buy a $50,000 motorcycle. You work up to that in time.
Well, see, for me, I think when you look at, we'll just talk about the road line because you can knock it down to the street glides also. You got your standard, your special, ST, CVO. Not missing one, right? It's only 4. Pretty sure. Anyways, like the best bang for your buck out of that line is the STs.
Absolutely.
Because you get the 117 motor, you have a better lean angle, higher, 1 inch taller suspension. So, I mean, to me, I wouldn't, even if I walked in, they said, we'll take your bike and, you'll only owe $15K on this CVO, I wouldn't do it.
Right. Right.
Because I still feel like the ST is the superior out of all of them, the best bang for your buck.
Yep. I'm just getting caught up here in the side chat.
Oh no, go for it.
Yeah. And as Ed says, it's an investment. Yes. And it's not an investment that will pay off. You will lose something, but you're not going to lose your shirt if you buy smartly. And I'll be honest with you, I don't buy everything completely smartly. All my bike is all done through Equal Credit, which is the worst thing you can do as far as finance charges and everything. I do it because it's easy. I don't have to sit there and say, here's a down payment. Let me go to my credit union. And I can always go to my credit union and refinance, but I don't want to go through all that. I really don't.
No, I get that.
I can and probably save quite a bit of money. But the ease of once a month, it comes out of my account automatically. I don't worry about it. I don't have to sit there. Shit, I got to make the payment. It's done. Same thing on the lowrider. It's done. I don't have to worry about it to think about it. It gets done on a Friday. Second Friday is the lowrider. Second Friday is the road glide. Third Friday is the lowrider. I don't have to worry about it. It comes right out of my checking account. I don't have to worry about it. It's easy. And that's why I do that. I know it's the worst thing you could do. Hey, John, how you doing? There you go. The Kawasaki something or Voyager is a Road Glide Ultra. Oh, okay. Let's see.
Checking those prices.
I can, yeah. Let's look at the Kawasaki, whatever they call that. Starts with the V.
The Vaquero or the Voyager? I guess I'm saying that right. If not, oh well.
What's funny? On the website, they don't even list that. You could get Street Track Ninja, the Street, which is Z, the VERSYS, the W, the Eliminator, or the Vulcan. Then there's dual sport off road and motocross / cross country.
Might be one that was discontinued because it
Oh,
didn't
wait,
sell.
there it is.
Nope, nope, you found it.
Yep, I found it. And that Kawasaki, right? We said the what was the price on the Road Glide was 28,000.
It was 20 something thousand. Yeah.
All
I
right,
don't remember
so
the exact number.
27,999, 28,000.
Okay.
Trying to get. Well, here's a big price difference for the Kawasaki that's comparable, and that's 19,900. So it's $10,000 less. But if you ever wanted to resell it, and I know from not my own personal experience, but from somebody I know, you can't. Nobody wants to buy it. He's been sitting on it for 2 years. You know,
Round
because
two says he thinks the Vaquero is Spanish for cow slinger. But that bike does look like a road glide and a street glide smashed together with a Ultra.
yeah. He says, I got 10K for my 3-year-old, which I paid 13K for new. The resale isn't great on metric cruisers. You are 100% accurate, but the resale on Harley Davidson cruisers is even better because there's a market for used Harley Davidsons. Yeah, they do make some pretty cool bikes for big touring, but the resale, when you're ready to upgrade, you're going to take a hit on trading it in, or you're going to hold on to it and sit on it trying to sell it to get what you want out of it.
Well, here's the next question. Those metric touring bikes, what's the aftermarket parts like for it?
I have no idea.
Well, I almost bet it ain't comparable to Harley's.
Nope. Let's see. Yeah, the aftermarket support for Metric Cruiser leaves a lot to desire. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. 40,000 pennies for Nori's bike.
Ruby will be worth 40K once he hits like 150,000 on it.
Which for him, that could be the end of next year.
by December, knowing him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you go to Sturgis, you're paying $30,000 for, a bike that's only worth, 15 or 16 because it's at Sturgis. You're going to pay the rally prices.
Yeah.
In general, you do not buy motorcycles at rallies. I don't care what anybody says.
Actually, we was down for bike week this year, and I remember that picture I took on that silver Road Glide.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing jumped from the time I sat on it till the time I went back. Because I actually went back to see how much it was because it was kind of tempting me to get. Which I'm glad it didn't work out because I'm way happier with the ST.
Absolutely. Resale value by them running. Well, you know what? I do worry about the resale. When I buy a bike, I always think about, because none of my motorcycles are my forever bike. I'll never have a forever bike. Sorry. I can't. I personally like change. I personally like starting over and, building it up to something special, like Spaceball. That was a base that's a lowrider S, black, almost as popular as a black street glide or road glide. But to me, I think I made something special. It's one of the fastest soft tails that I know of. It's one of the Sawtails that got the most horsepower and torque that I know of. I haven't found one out there making more that's naturally aspirated. Goldzilla just broke 160 horse, 160 foot-pounds of torque by changing it and tuning it for E85. That is, to me, the fastest Sawtail that I know of. Which is awesome. Younger generation buying Harleys as an investment. In the grand scheme, things aren't being continued in a different world as they grow up. Yeah, true. True.
I really don't see it as an investment, but I see how certain bikes could be an investment.
Yeah. See, Hell says new CVO is 55K for the whiskey. Is that for the whiskey neat? Because I know a dealership that has one. It's listed for 49.9.
Still, 50K for a bike.
55K. Oh yeah, 50K for the
No,
new.
you just talking about yours. The one you know of is 50.
Yep.
So I mean, still, that's a lot of money.
Again, it's a lot more than I paid for my AMG Mercedes.
Right.
Yes, it's used, but
you could take that 50K, buy an ST, and build that thing out completely for the difference.
yep. You could
And have
do
a faster
phase
bike
two,
set up
you
for
could
you.
suspension, which is suspension technologies. You could do all the custom dynamics lighting. Uh, you could do custom wheels. Uh, you can even go inverted forks if you wanted to. You could upgrade the stereo system and still have money left over.
Yeah. Then go big bore and then have bigger
Big problem.
numbers than them. So, well, depends on how big a bore you go and what all's done to it.
Yeah.
Just don't have it built in Tennessee.
Good night, Frog. Kind of safe travels to Tennessee. You know.
Yeah, I'll be
And
seeing you tomorrow.
yeah. And it says making payments every month. Absolutely. I do. I can't afford to spend it. Wow. The 120th CVO anniversary, which would I think you saw about the Ultra, is at the dealer for 55,000.
Phew. I didn't like that
Now,
paint job that much.
now let's take a look at what the real MSRP is on that bike and see how bad they are raping people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, on mine, it went up right after I got mine. And what it went up to down there is what they was already selling them for up here. So I don't know if they've actually raised their prices up here yet or not. Because I don't go in there and look.
Well, the 120th, they don't even have listed on the website anymore. On Harley's website. But let's look at the CVO Road Glide.
Wait through it. See here.
And we'll look at the Whiskey Neat color. Right. So the Whiskey Neat, there it is. The 2023 CVO Road Glide in the Whiskey Neat starts at 42,999, 43,000, and then you add 6,000 for the Whiskey Neat paint job. So that's 49,000. So if a dealership is selling that for 55,000, that's not a dealership, that's a stealership. Because they're marking it up because they know they could get it and they're going to pocket that cash. which is disgusting.
How much of it do they mark it up? If they have like a standard percentage they mark it up?
Well, the markup at the dealerships go by, what the rent is, all their overhead and all that. They mark it up that way. Uh,
Okay,
but
so we got inflation going on, so that's
but
could
you know
be
what?
played into a factor.
Right. But I look at it this way: if dealership A could sell it at MSRP, then every other dealership in the world should be able to sell at MSRP.
Well, here's one thing you're not thinking of about customer service of that dealership, because there are some crappy dealerships around, and then there's some really awesome dealerships.
Oh yeah,
So if the awesome one is selling it at MSRP and the other one's selling it for 5K more, it might be the reason why they're selling at 5Ks because they don't move as many bikes.
yep, yeah. It might be, and that's why they're not moving the bikes is because they got them marked way out in left field. Hey, jamming.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate on it. I mean, I'm not saying that they're greedy. I'm just saying maybe it's because they don't move the inventory and they have to do something to make payroll every month and the bills.
Yep. So it's really that's the first thing I do when I go to a new dealership and just go in and buy a poker chip or something like that, just to say, "Hey, I was here." As I look at the the sticker prices, you know, and if I see that they are marking them way out of the in the outer atmosphere for prices, I just turn around and walk out. I don't even buy a poker chip from them because I don't want to remember I was there because I don't like dealerships. I like dealerships. You know, the dealership I deal with, I could walk in there and hang out all day and they don't say anything. As a matter of fact, the owner even says, "Hey, want to buy a lunch today?" I'm like, "No, I'm good, man." You know,
I
and they're
don't like
not
the
corporate
dealerships you
dealerships.
walk into and they don't have prices on the bikes.
There's a lot.
Yeah. So that's one thing that will turn me around if I am looking for a bike. If they don't have the prices on it, they're too high. I'll just turn around and walk out.
See, that's when I say, okay, I'm going to have fun and waste their time. Hey, I'm looking at buying this bike. I don't see a price on it. How much is this Road Glide? Oh, it's got the 107 on it, right? You know, and they'll sit there and the salesman will quote you a price. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's an amazing price. You guys actually get that for that bike? And then they'll say, well, yeah, all the time. I says, man, you should have the floors paved in gold because you're like 8,000 over MSRP.
Yeah.
You know, and some people say, well, you're wasting their time. Well, apparently, for what they're selling their bikes for, they could afford to have their time wasted.
Salty Badger says they have one that didn't discuss price until they did a credit check.
Yeah, that's no.
That's just tells me to carry my business somewhere else.
Yeah, I like the dealerships. You walk in and they got the tag on the right on the handlebars. It tells you what the MSRP is, what the destination fee is, what the dealer prep is, what the conveyance fee is, and then here's the price. And that's it. Glide on piece of Well, I wouldn't even get to the point of the paperwork without knowing the price of the bike. Yeah, enjoy keeping the bike. Exactly. Exactly. Here in Connecticut, I could walk into Yankee Harley Davidson and be at MSRP on any bike. Go to some other dealerships closer to me or farther from me, and they're in the outer atmosphere in prices. And I'd sit there and and it says, well, you're interested in buying this bike? I said, yeah, but not from you. Why? Well, I could buy it at MSRP over here. Well, they won't be in business long. Well, they've been in business a lot longer than you because you just bought this dealership. And I don't know what to tell you. Maybe that's why the previous owner sold it, because they were losing their shirt because they couldn't sell enough bikes to make any money. When you sell a volume of motorcycles, would you rather make profit of $10,000 on 10 bikes or a profit of $10,000 on 2 bikes? Because guess
in the
what?
long run.
When that dealership that made that $1,000 of profit and made that $1,000 on a bike, they moved it off the floor, so they're not paying Harley Davidson their flooring fees. So
See, I don't know what all they have to pay for at the dealerships.
Oh, yeah. At a dealership, you have to pay corporate a flooring fee. So if you have a bike there that's new or used, and even if you own that bike, you paid for it, and the dealership owns it outright, and it's not being there in consignment from from Harley Davidson corporate, they own it outright. They still got to pay a flooring as part of their franchising fees.
That's stupid, because what happens when they make a bike nobody wants?
Yep. Well, that's why the dealership pick the bikes they want. They sit there and tell Harley, hey, these are the bikes we want. Harley will do their best to fill that wish list.
Heard that, but my dealer says no. They just said they request X amount of like STs or the anniversary edition or CVO. Well, they don't even know what they're getting in. They just show up.
The high volume dealerships will get their wish list.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're moving 8 to 10 bikes a month, which is not really that high volume, right? That's like 2 bikes a week. But if you have a dealership that's moving 6 to 7 bikes a week, that's 24 to 30 bikes a month. Harley's going to give them the first dibs on everything new that's hot in the trend, because they know they're going to sell and get out into the public, because that's the best advertising. When the fast,
well, it's like the STs,
right? Like the Fast Elf, or I'm sorry, the Fast Johnny came out. That my dealership got a Road Glide, a Street Glide, and the ST in the first run, and they were gone. Yankee received last year 3 to 4 Diablos, the Road Glide STL Diablo. Some dealerships didn't even see one. Some dealerships only saw one. But the high volume dealerships will get the inventory because they'll move them, and Harley knows that. They're not going to have, especially a low volume dealership that has it on consignment, which means they're not going to get paid till the bike sells. They're not going to send them, 2 or 3 CVOs. They're going to send them 1. They're not going to fill their wish list. They're going to fill their inventory with all the leftovers, which is kind of counterintuitive. You want them to pick up business, but you're not giving them the bikes because they're selling so high over MSRP, trying to make $5,000 to $6,000 a bike instead of the $1,000 a bike, and having a high value.
It sounds like my ST when I got it. My dealership here didn't have any, and they said they could hardly get them in.
Yep.
And I go down to Florida and got mine there, and they had like 15 sitting there.
Right. Because that dealership before was a high volume dealership, where the dealership that you deal with at home probably it's not a high volume dealership. It's probably a low to a moderate volume dealership. So they're not going to get their wish list. fulfilled.
Yeah, I hardly see, like when I got mine, they didn't have any. I did go back after I got mine and they had a Street Glide ST,
Yep.
but I've still yet to see a brand new Road Glide ST in there.
And
I did see a
they,
used one.
they didn't have your salesman.
No, no. Well, yeah, I mean,
Who didn't
I
teabag
picked
your
up a
bike
new
for you.
salesman.
Well, I mean, come on. How many salesmen will go personally out there and teabag your brand new motorcycle for you?
Hey, he's rubbed his junk on it more than once
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
you
rode
know,
it like he stole it. So
yep, yep.
my other salesman didn't do that. Kind of slacking.
See, Jared says his dealer just got 14 new ones today. That's got to be a high volume dealer to get that many bikes in one shot. That's a high volume dealer. Now, when you see early this year for 2023, the dealerships that were on all over YouTube saying, hey, look at these 2023s we got, and other dealerships are still trying to move 2022s, that they will tell you if they're a high volume dealer or a moderate to low volume dealer. There's a dealership here in Connecticut says they are a gold certificate winner. And I talk to a lot of different dealers and I tell them, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Harley doesn't have that. That's something they coined themselves, which they can. You know, they awarded the owner awarded it to the sales team. You guys are gold standard. You guys get the gold certificate. Here it is. And they can advertise it.
Wonder if you get that when you sell 5,000 bikes.
I have no idea.
I mean, if Hells gets a plaque at 5,000, I mean, for not blowing it up. But like Riding on 3, he says White Lightning didn't have a single ST yesterday. But when I went down there for the club style Tennessee event, they had, I think, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think
Hey,
location does have something to do with it. What's up, Ray?
yeah. So there's a lot when you go look at a new motorcycle and you're looking at these prices and you're going to go and say, Harley's out of their mind. They're asking these prices. Is it Harley or is it the individual dealer that's out of their mind? Yes, some of Harley prices are elevated from the competitors, but look at the dealer network, look at the lifestyle. When you go buy a Kawasaki, what does a Kawasaki dealer ever do for its community? Nothing. They try and sell you another bike.
But that's why I was saying when you buy a Harley, sometimes you do pay a little more, but you get a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Because you have that dealership there and the network of dealerships, and they're always putting on some kind of event.
Yep. Like Yankee Harley Davidson, Cape Cod Harley Davidson, this Saturday, they're having a Apple type festival at their dealerships. They're going to have apple cider, apple pie, a couple other things to do with apples, maybe a pumpkin spice or an apple spice thing for all the ladies or the Sportster S owners. I couldn't help myself. Noggin will be there. But it's something that they got going on. I mean, they do there's the dealer network that does get the stamp throughout from this date to this date. Go visit all these dealerships and get stamped and you win a prize. That's great because guess what that does? That gets you out. That gets you on your bike. It gets you traveling. It gets you going to places you normally don't go. I've never seen a metric dealer or BMW dealer, which I didn't even count BMW in there because they are priced outside of my price range. Never mind Harley on there, and I probably could have or should have. Um, for instance, I know the Pan Americans are priced way out there, over all the other adventure bikes. But a lot of people are saying that the Pan America is the best selling adventure bike in the market right now. How true that is, I don't know. Salty Bags is buying a Harley, is having a stripper you can always throw money at and feel happy. That's for damn sure. I throw a lot of money at my Harleys. I see a lot of people throw money at their Harleys, and they throw money at me, and I don't even have to spin on a pole. I just got to spin wrenches.
Okay, I need to stop for gas in the morning when we leave too, by the way.
Yep.
And Dallas can take his tank off.
Yeah.
I got to run his wire for his Pro Beam tomorrow and put that in so it's ready for the event. His event tomorrow that starts tomorrow.
Yeah. And Dallas is really do yourself a favor. I'm sure you did it on yours. 25 feet from a wall, turn your stock headlight on, mark the wall where the top of your beam is, do his headlight, and adjust the new headlight to that mark on the wall.
Yeah, I didn't do mine at all. I just threw it in. You can adjust that with the fairing on, right?
You're gonna have to reach up and behind. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I was like, these things are already set. It's custom dynamics. Gotta be set. So I just threw it in.
Well,
I was
they gotta be
concentrating on
set,
doing the video too. So
but they're not hand-built motorcycles. They are assembled on assembly line. A lot of things can happen. They could be off. Even the 1/8 inch angle on that headlight, whether up or down, will change that beam a lot. You could be shining up in the trees or right in front of your tire. And that's why
yeah,
you have
well,
that adjuster in the back.
bad thing is in my building, it's probably 3 feet from the wall, but it shoots that line. I think if anything is going to be low, I'll have to adjust it up.
Yeah.
But how many feet at 25 feet is it supposed to be up on the wall? 3 feet?
I think it's like 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
Well, we'll adjust both of them tomorrow because he's got a garage. We can shut the door and flip the light on and I can
Yep.
adjust it.
Yep.
Dan can laugh.
Mhm.
We'll send him out to get us food.
Yeah. You and Penny do it. Send Dallas out for food. Yes. Headlight adjustment is part of the PDL, but some dealers don't do it. Well, a lot of dealers don't do a lot of things they should. For instance, when you bring your bike in for your service intervals, okay, not an oil change interval, a service interval. Now, service interval, depending on what service you're getting, could be quite intensive and quite costly. Like the 1K service, it's the most important thing to do in the 1K service is check your neck bearings. Uh, After that, the 5K, it's basically checks. The 10K, it's basically checks again. But the 15, 20K, I start getting into different things that need to be done that I don't memorize. I have a whole checklist for every service. But some dealerships come in and say, or shops, you come in, I want the 5K or the 20K service done. And you drop the bike off, and they call you an hour later, says it's done. All they did was change your motor transfer primary and an oil filter. They didn't check anything.
That's like I was telling you earlier, back on the call earlier. Actually, there's very few people I trust to work on my bike because
Yep.
I know they're going to do it and not do like a dealership and say they do it and then charge me for not doing it. Yeah, John, and I'm gonna be there. Probably, I don't know what time. DDK hadn't told me what time we're leaving yet. I'm
That's
assuming
it.
around 10.
That's it. Because of jamming, we're going to call you Twitter D.
Twitter D. I'm about to just take the D away.
Why? Because you are a D.
Well, that is true.
The early morning rides, late night commuting home. Went from the LP6, want to see seen and be seen. Exactly. Exactly. I'm actually thinking about getting, I think they're ugly as hell. The floodlights that go onto the engine guard.
Hmm.
I won't call them a crash bar because I don't like using the word crash on any part on a bike. Um, so, they're ugly as hell, but they throw out so much more light. And I'm thinking of tucking them in close to the fang fairing so they're not out there saying, "Here I am."
Noticed the difference going from the breakout to the road glide. I did have
Oh,
more light, but excuse me. It's still on interstate running at about 10 o'clock at night. Low beams, nah, you got to flip the high beams on. 'Cause if there's nobody in front of you, you do end up losing sight of the road. Comes up quick.
well, I hope right on three's your mom does well with her surgery. I'll definitely be praying for her. I'm sure everybody else will. I wish her well. Better D than dumb.
Yeah,
What do you
better
think
than
the D stands for?
no, it ain't standing for dumb. It's got ick on the end of it. Knuckles TV, what's going on?
What's going on, Knuckles? Well, you missed a whole bunch of good conversation about the price of Harley because I honestly started getting tired of hearing everybody saying Harley is overpriced. Harley's the most expensive motorcycle on the market. And I compared it to Indian and Kawasaki and Honda and even Suzuki's, and they're actually right in the middle for most of their bikes. You know, now Knuckles, you also got suspension technologies, didn't he?
Him say.
So, but so in closing on that whole conversation about the cost of a Harley Davidson, you do get what you pay for. Harley, in general, overall, is in the middle of the road. Yes, they have some products that are more expensive than others. They have some products being motorcycles being more expensive than others. They have motorcycles that are less expensive than others. And other companies have motorcycles that are half the price, like that Kawasaki we were looking at, the Vulcan, Velocelo or Volva, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. Well, let's see. X angles. How does BMW compare to Harley? Well, I'll bring that up. I didn't want to look at it because I don't have BMW money.
And that was my dad had that same mentality about Harley. Was Harley a motorcycle? It stayed on the side of the road more than it stayed on the road. Hey, that was because of the 70s and 80s, and maybe even early 90s, whenever the AMF quit and they got their act together and actually stepped it up and built reliable bikes. I guarantee you he'd eat those words now.
Okay, we'll look at the R18B, which looks like comparable to uh, the Street Glide. Well, actually, I'm actually surprised, to be honest with you.
They would be higher because it's BMW.
That's what I thought. You ready for this? You're going to get shocked. Are you ready?
Maybe.
The
Yeah.
R18B BMW Motorrad. $19,945.
Okay.
That I am completely surprised. Now let's take a look.
You know, my next question would be for those BMWs.
What's that?
What's the repair bills?
Oh yeah. And
because I'm sure their parts are way higher.
yep. And these are listing as 2024, so they're already next year's model. See, the one with the tour pack, which would be comparable to the Ultra Limited, is $23,995.
Okay,
So,
so Jake has a question. What's the weight? He said it looks like 2,000 pounds. It don't look like a 2,000 pound bike, but it does look like it might be 1,000.
well, he's part of the Oompa Loompa Guild.
Yeah, we got to get him some platform boots ordered.
Trying to find the specs on this, maybe under data equipment. Powertrain, it's shaft drive, 6-speed transmission, clutch, single disc dry.
Oh, there we go. Now we're getting some weight right there.
Curb weight ready to ride is 942 pounds, which is
Yep, and then you put your
comparable.
cell phone there. The bike's over 1,000.
Yep, which is comparable to the Ultra Limited, and that's what this bike was being compared to, which would be the Ultra Limited because of the tour pack and everything like that, which is surprisingly less expensive than a Harley. There you go. Yeah, look where your foot goes and the service costs. You know?
Their parts ain't cheap.
Yep. And Salty Bagger goes. True story. My dad says his 1974 Super Glide was the most expensive Harley he ever owned because he gave it up in a divorce for custody, and it still seems to be paying for it 50 years later. Yeah, Jake goes, that surprised me a lot. Maybe due for a motor design. You know, and Harley made in World War II a Boxer engine like the BMW, the opposed flat two, for the Africa campaign because of the heats that was they would have there in the deserts of Africa during World War II. But by the time the bikes got produced and sent to the army, they were already out of Africa by the time the army got them. So they were never used. Yeah, and DDK says, but still doesn't have the dealer network. Yeah, I've never seen a BMW motorcycle dealer. Now that I think about it.
My chiropractor bought a BMW, but he had to go to Nashville. So I don't know if Nashville's the only BMW motorcycle dealership or that just happened to be where he went, but I've never seen one.
Yeah. Hello, Kazemoto. Good morning to you down under.
Well, that's one place I wanted to go, but never made it in the military.
Yeah, I can't go there now. As soon as I get off the plane in a t-shirt, I'm going to jail for 2 years.
Yeah,
because
I
of
know.
certain tattoos.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
They might not even let me into the country. They might turn around and put me a plane back over. Yeah. Knuckles TV says, we have one close to me. My son bought his S1000RR.
Jake might be on to something there because everyone I've seen was a power sports.
Yeah.
They had jet skis, boats, four-wheelers, side by sides.
Yep. Well, I think Jake's onto something here. Power sports dealership, not necessarily a brand like Harley. I know that Battlefield Harley Davidson actually changed their name to Battlefield Motorcycles because they started carrying Royal Enfields and those British looking three-wheel car with motorcycle engines. I forget what they're called. And I believe with Harley, you can't carry any other brand other than Harley Davidson motorcycles or Livewire.
Or you can take all kinds of bikes in as traders.
Yeah.
That don't make sense. But I get it.
Like saying it says that the local dealership is gaining popularity. I'd be really interested to see what parts and maintenance would be like on a BMW. You know?
I kind of wonder if, how I complain about Harley, you not be able to call a Harley dealership anywhere in the US and them send you parts that you need that they have on hand because of dealer territory. That's one
Right.
thing Harley needs to fix because that is actually hurting Harley.
Well, they
With
had
every other
that. They used to be like that, and they stopped doing that.
because of bad dealerships wasn't making the sales.
Right.
So instead of making them clean their act up, they hurt everybody, including the customer.
So it says Milwaukee Harley Davidson even said I could park my truck and trailer at their facility. Not sure if every network is like that, but those dealerships seems to have good people working there. I know for a fact if I asked my local dealerships, hey, can I leave my truck and trailer here? They would. Absolutely,
Yeah.
they would. You know, I know a lot of local dealerships, Harleys will sit there, have your meet and greet here, or meet up for a ride here and leave here from a ride. I've seen that a lot of times.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the dealership.
Yeah. Gonna hop
Because some of them are actually have
take care
claims
riding with
taken on
Yeah.
them.
Let's see. BMW is supposed to have some of the least reliable bikes on the road.
I'll be honest. I see more Harleys on the road and like metrics,
Well, you want to know why that is?
like Suzuki Suzuki and Honda being the top two.
It's because you own a Harley. You know, before I bought my Mercedes, I didn't see a lot of Mercedes on the road. Now that I have one, I see them all over the place.
Well, I mean, I'm always looking for bikes
because you're in tune to pay attention because you have one and you're always comparing what you have to what somebody else has. It's human nature.
Well, no, I mean, I don't do it for that. I do it to see how many two-wheel vehicles on the road. But the majority of the other bikes I see are the adventure bikes.
Knuckles TV, I do this every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Please get in touch with me. I'd like to have you on as a special guest one night. I think that'd be amazing if you would do that. If you're interested, let me know. My email's in the description. Shoot me an email. Let me know.
He's on Instagram also. Both
Yeah.
of you.
I spent 3 different days at one dealership to repair that could have done at the factory had the part. Yeah. Sorry to hear you had that problem. Salty Bagger says, heard you can even buy a BMW right now because of a stop sale. Oh, no kidding. Didn't they just have that big thing where Tall went and Cycle Fanatics went and Her Two Wheels went to?
West Coast. They was doing something over there, but I didn't pay attention to what it was.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of dirt, so I mean, dirt. If I'm gonna ride in the dirt, I'm gonna have a dirt bike.
Yep. Oh, Ovi on Two Wheels says it's starting to see more adventure bikes on the road. Yes,
It's what I'm seeing here in Tennessee. It's
and
starting to come close to 50-50 now.
yep, has a missions thing. The IIRC, so they stopped sale for some of the most of their bikes. No kidding.
Hmm.
And they were in New Mexico. Okay,
Yeah, it's still West Coast.
not really, but okay. If
It is
you
for
think
me.
if you think New Mexico's the West Coast, we got to send you back to geography class.
New Mexico is right there close to California.
It's also close to Mexico,
Yeah.
where we
It's
like
over the
to
center
do
line
our.
of the United States, so it's in the west. How
Yeah,
about that? I'll drop the coast and just say the west.
yeah. It's in the Southwest,
Mm-hmm.
and New Mexico is beautiful.
Yeah, I hear some good riding over there.
Yep.
I'd
So
like to make it over there one day. I'm sure it'll probably be sooner than later because gliding will probably be like, stop and pack your crap. We're leaving.
Lone Cowboy, get a hold of me. Send me your address. I'd like to get you out a poker chip and a sticker. We haven't done a sticker swap, and I'd love to do one with you. See, Arizona is between New Mexico and California.
Still west. I loved Arizona. I'd love to go back there.
Corey's like,
It's like
it's like
Mexico.
Mexico, but newer. Uh, okay, Golden it being more as with the stop sale on 10-2 is because of an issue with the evaporative system. Interesting. But you know what? Every dealer, every manufacturer has their recall, safety recalls, or technical bulletins, which means it's a problem and Harley will fix it. It's not under a recall, but it's under a technical bulletin. We'll fix it for free most of the time. Some dealerships won't. And every dealership or manufacturer has that. I don't care if what brand it is, motorcycle, car, boat, jet ski, adventure vehicle, whether it's a side by side or a quad, they all have their recalls, they all have their technical bulletins because things happen that they couldn't find out in testing, but when it's been on the road for a while and there's thousands of them out there, then the problem arises, and that's when they come out with it. And Harley Davidson is pretty good with publicizing it. Hey, we made a mistake. It's a safety issue. Contact your dealer, make an appointment. Let's get it fixed. And I'm glad that they're very vocal and public about it because if you wait for that letter, I got that letter 3 weeks after I heard about it.
Well, they're having issues with the new CVO with the kickstand sensors and the
Yep.
camshaft sensors, but they haven't put a safety recall out for that,
No,
especially the
because
kickstand sensor, because that if you're going low speed, that bike's going to fall over.
yeah. So there's that issue, which I'm pretty sure that comes out. There's a whole process for a safety recall to happen. It comes through the NTSB, not from the manufacturer, which is a National Traffic and Safety Bureau. Has to issue the recall recommendation to the manufacturer. So Harley can't say, okay, we're going to do a safety recall. No, the NTSB has to issue it. I think they could do something ahead of time to come up with a fix for it and fix it with the production bikes and the bikes still on the showroom floor, then wait till they're on the road. For instance, when I bought my 18 Street Glide, there was a recall on the slave cylinder. The parts weren't available yet. I bought the bike, but I couldn't take the bike home until it was fixed. And the dealership says, you know what? We're going to take your bike in on trip. We'll take your money, all that. We're not going to finish the paperwork until that recall is taken care of. So you don't start paying on a bike that you don't have possession of, which is I think was a phenomenal thing that the dealership did. And that was before I had the relationship with them that I do now. That's the sign of a good dealership. You want this bike? That's great. We'll take your deposit. We'll put your name on it. We'll take it off the floor. We'll put it in the back in storage until the parts are available. Your new bike will be one of the first ones that get the parts. So we could get you on your new bike and so you could ride. I said to him, whatever, dude, it's November. It's not like middle of the riding season or beginning of the riding season. It was November in Connecticut. I'm like, whatever. I have more bikes at home to ride anyways. So I really wasn't too stressed over it.
Surprised they did that.
Come out with a 42,024. Do you think
Right in the year 42,024?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
I don't either.
What do you think Harley is going to come out with 42,024?
Oh, what do you think Harley is going to come out with in 2024? He just updated it.
Oh, okay. What do I think they're going to come out with 2024? Definitely motorcycles. I guarantee you'll see a Street Glide, a Road Glide on there. You'll see the Ultra Limited. Definitely you'll see the RG3 back because that's been such a hot sale that the dealership can't keep them on the floor. They're sold before they even get to the floor. They have deposits on them before they even come in. And if you find one on the floor, it's very rare. I don't know.
Paint is going to be the big thing this year.
What's that?
Paint, because their paint jobs for 2023 was kind of crappy.
Well, not all of it.
Well, I'm just saying most of them were kind of crappy.
Gold, the Prospect Gold and black.
That was an exception.
Prospect Gold was a great color.
I don't count black. That's every year's a black one.
Well, yeah, vivid black is their standard color.
Yeah.
The
50th, that's a love paint.
I didn't care for.
The Fast Johnny. So there's like maybe 3-4 paint jobs total that was good. I think what they're going to end up doing is you've seen the black and gray in the STs. The black and was it Sam Pearl White or something like that?
Yeah.
And then they did the cream yellow or orange. No, I think they ain't gonna do a white ST this year. I think they're gonna change it up. It's probably gonna be like a red. Because they already had a white and a blue, so I think they're probably gonna go some kind of red.
Yeah. Well, they had the anniversary red, which the 120th red. I like that red. I really did. Now, what they did on
more of a race red.
120th for the Ultra Limited was way overdone. Mm-hmm. And I didn't care for it, but I didn't have to care for it because I wasn't looking to buy the bike.
Yep. That's why I am. Do I really care what comes out in 2024? Nope. I got my 23. I love it.
Now, what's that bike that Harley renewed the patent on? It was supposed to be like a Street Fighter bike.
Talking about the Bronx?
Yes. I wonder if that's going to come out in 2024.
That's been rumored to come out in the past 3 years, as far as I know, and they still ain't done it.
Well, when Harley renewed the patent on it in late 2022 or early 2023, that's when everybody says they're going to release it. And they didn't. And a lot of people were surprised they didn't. But, Harley's also been slimming down their line. They used to be able to get a Street Glide Special, or the CVO Street Glide. Now it's the Street Glide Special or the Street Glide CVO. And you could get the Special and with black motor accents or chrome motor accents.
Fair though, you got to remember the ST line. It's still in there also.
Yep.
So they really didn't trim it down. They just got rid of one to make way for the ST for the
Yes.
performance side.
Right. They dropped the baseline, kept their midline, which was the special, became the baseline. The ST became the midline, and then the CVO is
Yeah.
the cat's ass.
Well, I disagree with that because it's like you said with the stereo system. In that, if you go to upgrade the stereo system, you got to yank the entire thing out, including the wiring harness.
Yep,
Or I
that's
don't
my
have to do that
CVO.
on mine.
Right, and that's my
That's what I'm
CVO.
saying. Mine's a little more affordable as far as customization goes, but it's still got the same power plant, you know. So that's why I think it's a better deal.
Yeah. Well, you also have the very rare 1 in a million Vivid Black, where
Yeah, I
I
mean
have
that bike's super rare.
the Envious Green Fade, where it's 1 in 900 throughout the
Yeah.
world, not just the country, throughout the world.
Yeah. No, I wish they had a better color options. If they would have, I probably wouldn't have got a black.
Yeah.
But the Fast Johnny, I didn't care for that blue.
Well, what did my wife say about the Sportster here? The 2024 Sportster S with available in pink sparkle. Will purple be an option?
Jake says the Bronx got pushed to ensure the success of the Pan Am, which I don't see how that helped the Pan Am because the Pan Am's in a different class motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because the Bronx is supposed to be like a street fighter, right?
Yeah.
So really, the Bronx would be competing against the Nightster and the Sportster, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think they thought that was going to go somewhere, and they're both flopping. So they might bring out the Bronx to try to save that line.
Yeah. See, they have the regular specials, ST limiteds, and the CVOs for tourings. Well, actually, I just looked on their line. They have right online. Let's bring it up, and I'll share that screen because I didn't see the standards listed.
Well, you got to be fair. It is October, so they may be trying to thin out the herd on the line and update it with the newer 2024s.
Yep. So
and not releasing it yet.
Let me share that screen, and I'll show you that the standards with the 107 motor are not listed. So let me get to share screen here. I'm sorry, I'm falling behind here. There you go. Present, share screen. Share. So we're going to go to bikes, new motorcycles, Grand American Touring. Oh, they do have it. I'm sorry. Right there. You got the Road Glide, Street Glide standards with the 107s. So I'm correct that they do have the standards still. The specials, the limiteds, the STs, and then the CVO. And then, for the trikes, you got the Geezer Glide, the Road Glide 3, and the Freewheeler. Now, if it was me, I'd get the Road Glide 3 over a Freewheeler and also over the Tri-Glide Ultra.
You know what? I think they need to redesign that RG3 so you can put a tour pack on it.
Then you might as well get the Tri-Glide.
Yeah, but the RG3's platform is a better platform than the other one, from what I hear. We have a resident trike guy. I think he's already out for the night, but yeah, he was educating me on that because we noticed a crap ton of trikes on the road this week, this past bike week out here too.
Yeah. So let's see. My wife says, Dean, yes, a lot more women are riding. I've had a few bikes, but now it's good. Rider and passenger works. Yep. Guys, I'm going to fall asleep. All right, Jamie. Good night. Have a safe trip to Tennessee. Do me a favor, when you see Tweedle, kick him in the shin for me.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right,
Let's see. Yeah.
I actually had a Roguelite 3 in the shop I did handlebars on. I was quite impressed with that. I'm pretty sure he'll be back for some suspension technologies.
Someone that wants to buy a new Harley from the dealership or finance options, the same as. Actually, I had a buddy looking at a used bike, and they was trying to push him through the Harley finance, and they made it pretty much so like unattainable to get that loan, where
Do you know why?
they would force you to get a brand new bike and make it easier for you to get the loan.
Do you know why they do that?
So they get a brand new bike out of the showroom.
That, and also on the brand new bike, let's say they run your credit, they come back and says, we got you approved at 15% interest, but the bank says we'll do the 12% interest. So they'll write it up for 15%, and the bank gives them the difference. That's cars, bikes, that not just Harley. Every auto finance does that.
Yeah, no, I heard the RG3 has a better frame than the Triglide.
Yes.
So I do think they need to actually modify that back end where you can put a tour pack on it, because I think that would look pretty cool with a tour pack.
Yes.
I think it would look pretty daggone cool with wheelie bars and a big ass motor stuffed in it too.
Yep. I can honestly see like the 107 is going away, the 114 is going to be the baseline motor, the 117s are going to be, like in this, like they are now in the
Midline.
specials and the STs, and then the CVOs being the 121, because it's got to be very expensive for them to produce all those different motors.
Well, I think if right now they got them in the CVOs, the 121, but I think they're going to put the 121s and the STs either not probably 2025, 2026 is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And you know
Because
what?
that's why the ST was built, because it's a performance
Riding
bagger
in the road
straight
bars
from the dealership.
has the crystal ball or a direct line to Harley and Milwaukee, and he gets a lot of information from them early on. So I imagine sometime in December, January, he's going to put out a lot of information about the 2024. So he's very good at that, and I follow and watch him as well because he has this great information and insider track to Harley Davidson that I don't think anybody else knows.
Probably the one that leaked the photos.
Yeah. Just about equal sales than the Roguelite sales. I don't know, because they've not produced the same amount of RG3s and Roguelites.
I don't know. We did notice a lot more trikes than what you usually see.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if it's because this was, end of September, beginning of October, and the guys on two wheels, probably his kids were in school, and it's just the retired guys come down or what, but there was a lot more trikes, all pretty damn close to equal to bikes at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. So oh well, that's all I have to talk about tonight.
Yeah, well, it was a good show. I like the comparisons, and we kind of debunked that whole Harley's unattainable, because that's the case that all bikes are unattainable.
Yeah. Well, they are not a necessity like a car is. I beg to differ with that. I'm sure you do as well, and a lot of other
Yeah.
people who ride, everybody in the side chat. But as far as um, transportation goes, motorcycles are a luxury item. To me, it's a way of life. It's not a hobby of mine. It's my way of life. Uh, and to me, these things, motorcycles, are a necessity. But in the bigger scheme of things, it's considered a luxury item. And that's why maintenance items like tires and batteries and everything are so much more than the cost of an automobile.
See, I don't agree with that because, like, the tires for my truck, if I got two, it would be about the same price as what I put on the bike. But I have big old mud tires too, so
Yeah.
there's some equality there also, like comparable to cars and car
Hmm.
parts.
Yep. See, the process says it. Luxury is the key,
Hmm.
you know? And I don't know about you, but from March until the first snow falls, I'm on my motorcycle more than my car.
Yeah.
I put roughly 10,000 miles a year on average in my car.
Mhm.
I put on average between both bikes about 15 to 17,000 miles on.
Yeah, I'm sitting just a hair over 11K for the year between the breakout and the road glide because I'm only about 40 miles from 6K on the road glide, which I'll be knocking over that this weekend.
Yep. So, you know, to me, it's a primary mode of transportation because I use that more than a car.
Yep. I'm the same way. I hate driving my truck now. It's like for to me, it's like getting thrown in jail. To be honest with you, I
Yep.
hate driving the truck. I'd rather be on the bike.
Yep. Even when I was in the service going back and forth to drill, if I didn't have to bring my gear with me, my flight gear stayed at the facility, but if I
Mhm.
didn't have to bring, stuff to go to the range or the full battle
Your
rattle
combat
for
gear.
all that fun stuff, all the hoorah stuff, I took the bike back and forth to drill. I didn't take the car. One, it's
Yeah.
more economical because of you use less fuel and go just as far as a car. Two, it's a lot more fun to drive and you don't get stuck in traffic.
Well, I can contest to gliding on twos. He said he don't even have a car, just Gigi and Ruby. When he is forced to drive a car, everybody's running and screaming and trying to find cover because he is all over the road
Good night,
screaming,
Jake.
"Get
From
out the
State Farm.
way!"
Yeah. I mean, really, to me, it's a necessity. It's my life. It's not a hobby. I live and breathe and bleed motorcycles. And that's not just Harley. I appreciate all the motorcycles. My preferred bike to ride is Harley. My preferred bike to work on is Harley. Um,
Same here.
but I could appreciate all the motorcycles and all the different styles and all the different brands, to include a pack of bumblebees ripping up the highway. You know, those are those crotch rockets. I call them bumblebees because that's what they sound like. A pack of
Well,
bees
that's
just
one thing.
charging along.
One thing that worries me about Harley is everybody. They need to get the technology. They need to get the technology. They need to be the same as these guys. Well, it's going to come to a point where you have no choice but to take your bike to the dealership and get raped on
Yep.
service
Good night,
charges
Corey.
for maintenance.
Yeah,
You,
because
you go to Harley because it's an air cooled motor, it's easy to work on, and you can find the parts for
yep.
almost all Harleys. You can find them pretty decent price. Some of them
Yeah.
I think are overpriced, but
Well, even the aftermarket world to a Harley OEM part, the prices aren't really that far off. I did a brake
no.
light switch for somebody, and Harley has a switch. It was like $20. I could order it from Amazon or through JP Cycles for $20.
There are
Guess what?
certain parts I will still continue to get from Harley, like brake light switches, plugs, plug wires.
Stators, regulators.
Yeah, there's some things that I will always go to Harley for. When it comes to, you know, body and lighting and floorboards and mirrors and, the cosmetic stuff really, and even some performance stuff. I'll go after market and stay away from
Oh
Harley.
yeah, I don't do Screaming Eagle at all. I'm not a fan of
I do like
Screaming
their
Eagle parts.
plugs. Their plugs
The
and their
plug
wires,
wires,
I do like.
the plug wires are good. Their plugs are good. However, as far as like their cams, their exhaust,
Yeah.
cam plates, oil pumps, they're much better options for the same, maybe a little bit more money.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I
You
can get
know,
on board with that.
I mean, if I said to you for $750 you can have a Screaming Eagle oil pump and cam plate, or for $750 you can have an S&S cam plate and oil pump. Which one would you rather have?
S&S.
Proven performance.
Now, I have learned that there are some things Screaming Eagle, like the adjustable push rods, and there's a couple other things. I can't remember what it was. They're actually kind of superior to the aftermarket.
Yeah.
So there are pick and chooses. You do have to research your parts before you make a decision. But
Yep.
at least you have options.
Yes. Yes. You have a lot of options when you own a Harley Davidson as far as customizing it to make it your motorcycle. There is it's endless, you know, for
Depending
options.
on which Harley you do have, because there are some that they don't make as much for.
Right. And there's some that like the 107 engines. If you keep the bottom end, you're limited to what you could do to the top end because of the
Yeah.
stroke. Uh, there are, I to me, I'd rather buy the 114 model than the 107 model because you have a much better base to start with.
Yeah.
Yes, it's more money and you're getting the blacked out parts versus the chrome parts, but you can also get the special chrome. Personally, I'm not a chrome guy. The chopper is going to be a lot of chrome because it's a chopper. Proper chopper has chrome, not black parts.
Yeah.
End of story. The Springer front end, if you guys, hopefully everybody saw the short today, the Springer front end came in today. Hopefully by this weekend, I'll be installing it. I'll be doing a video of it, and that'll be up in the next few weeks. I already have videos lined up for this Sunday and the Sunday afterwards. That would be the following Sunday, and then I have some other videos that I'm working on, to follow that as far as, tools and preparing for road trips and preparing your bike for winter storage. Things like that will be coming out. All right, PA, good night. My wife says beers. Yeah, I've been empty here for a while. That's okay. I got water. But yeah, I mean, there's the aftermarket world for Harley Davidson is endless, and it's not thank you, one manufacturer or another. Ah, uh, it is multiple manufacturers making multiple parts for you. I mean, camshaft options, stage two. You and I have talked offline about this in depth and how to pick a cam and the mathematics that goes into it and writing styles and where you want the cam to come on and not come on and things like that. A lot of that goes into planning. If you could spend, I mean, even Nori and I had conversations about this. You could spend a minimum of an hour talking to somebody before you select a proper cam for them. It's not, well, this cam is great. I heard about it. I want it. Well, does it suit you, your needs, your riding style, and what you're looking for?
If you're looking for specific numbers, then you got to throw in the exhaust. You got to throw in the intake manifold. There's a lot of other parts that has to work together too to achieve the numbers game.
Yep. For instance, the bike that got delivered today, I'm going to be doing a stage tune, some powder coating for him and an oil service, that he was adamant about this one cam. So we were talking about it, and I did the math in front of him, and I said, "Why are you stuck on this cam? It doesn't suit your riding style." He's like, "Well, it's because what my friends tell me to get." Well, here I can show you on paper and talking to you, it's not your style cam. So we went through a dozen different cams for his motor, which is a 103 twin cam, and we picked one out of 12 cams that will fit his riding style and fit what he's looking for. You know, his friends, I said to him, any of your friends work on bikes or into performance and things like that? No, that's just what they've read.
I'm not a fan of people reading the cams and they see just the dyno numbers and they're like, "Oh, well, this is good. My bike will do this." No, it won't. There's a
No,
lot more into it than just that.
yep. You know, there's what intake, what exhaust, who the tuner is, where are you at sea level, what's the
Yeah.
atmospheric pressure for the day, what's the humidity for the day, what's the temperature for the
Injector
day.
size. There's all kinds of crap to
Yep.
play.
A lot of that goes into it. Are they running, you know, the high performance clutch? Are they just running a stock clutch? Because that will limit you. Are you running, you know, how was the motorcycle maintained? Is it a 50,000 mile motorcycle? You want to put this on,
Yep.
expect it to have somebody with a bike with 20,000 miles to have the same performance. It's not going to perform. You could take two exact motorcycles, break them in exactly the same, service them exactly the same, have the same amount of mileage on them, put the same exact performance parts on it, and end up with two different results. Because these things are mass produced, they're not hand built, they're not blueprinted motors, they are not balanced motors, they are a mass produced motor. So everything's going to be different. You know, we can start with the run out on the cam, the tolerances and the gaps for the piston rings, the tolerances for the pistons to the cylinder walls, which head gaskets are used. Do you have 40 thousandths head clearance, or do you at 30 thousandths, or are you at 45 thousandths head clearance? It's just so much going on that people don't think about when, like, well, my friend's got this cam making 140 horse. Just the cam making, oh, yeah. That's when I go, okay, bullshit flag. What else is done to the bike?
Exactly.
And then when
But
I
it's like
talk
you
to,
said, two motors, two bikes, exactly the same. You break them in the same, you do the same exact stuff. Let's say they even every tolerance is the same. You go and put it on the dyno, you can't run them both on the same dyno at the same time because the weather may change 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later by the time you get the other bike on. So your tuning is where it makes or break a bike. It really
yep,
is.
yep, and it's not the dyno, it's the actual tuner. Case
Yep.
in point, the first dyno session I took Spaceball on. Guy did the best he could. He really did. He worked hard on it for 2 full days. He got 140 horse out of the bike, 150 foot-pounds of torque.
Now, my question is,
Took it
was
to a
he tuning
different
that for
guy.
EPA spec?
No, because
Okay.
when you look at the air fuel ratios, it was pissing fuel out the exhaust because it was so rich. I took it to a different guy who's been in the dyno tuning business for over 40 years. He was changing jets and stuff before fuel injection, and now fuel injection came out, and he's up on speed on that. And he's getting ready to retire. He's 80 years old. The guy is an encyclopedia of knowledge on tuning. And just in tuning, gained me 13 horses and another 12 foot-pounds of torque. No parts were changed, just the tuner.
Chris, I'll be there between, I don't know, 12 and 2. Talk to DDK. He knows when we get there.
Yeah. Blame
I'm just
DDK.
following him.
It's all DDK's fault.
Yeah.
You know, Father Time's got to take his nap. He gets up at 8. He's like, I take a nap at 10. And
Oh, that's
we're
me
gonna
because I'm usually waking up at 10. But no, it's going to be kind of cool in the morning, so we're kind of going to let the sun come up and try to warm up a little bit before we get on the road and
right around the
run
crack of
95
noon.
on 40. Well, I mean, we take off, we get up, we go. We're going to go. We ain't going to sightsee on the road, you know. So
Yep.
we're moving. We do have to make a pit stop though at Crossville, but after that we'll be running right up in there. Then I got a
Right
light to
on.
do. Then I guess we're going to Henry Horton.
Nice. Maybe stop at a Bucky's along the way. Get yourself a brisket
Yeah,
burrito.
yeah. We have to make a pit stop at Bucky's, and there's a Whataburger over not too far from Bucky's. I've been eyeballing it. I hear there's one in Murfreesboro too, so I may be taking a little trip while I'm down there. Go get me some Whataburger.
There you go. See, DD says naps are not overrated. Actually, I think they're
Oh,
understated.
I tell you what, I slept good last night.
Yep. Let's see. Love me some naps, Galang says. So there might be some snuggling going on over there at Henry Horton, huh?
We're not in the same building.
Not you might not start out in the same building. You might wake up and be snuggling.
Quit quit hogging the blanket.
Go away.
On the couch, leave me alone.
What's this little guy? Dallas, go back to your mushroom.
Nah, it's gonna be fun. We got everything planned as far as I know. The ride and all that still go.
Beautiful.
I have been looking at my radar. It's gonna be a little bit of rain Saturday morning, but
It is what
we're
it is.
riders, we're YouTubers. If we can't handle a little rain, then what are we doing on motorcycles? Is my question.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. You know,
right,
nobody
as
likes to
far as
ride
I'm
in the
concerned,
rain.
rain or shine, we're going.
Yep. Nobody likes to ride in the rain, but if you get caught in it, you can only get so wet.
Well, I mean, we should have rain gear anyways, but
Right. But you can only get so wet, you can't get any wetter.
no. I think
Yeah,
the
I've come
worst rain
home.
I've ever been caught in was when I got my stage 2 done and left Miami.
Yep.
That
I
rain
came
filled
home.
my shoes up.
I came home from Gettysburg. We had rain gear. My hands were pruned. My feet were pruned. My body was pruned because it rained so hard. The rain gear didn't even, it helped for a little while, but 300 miles in torrential rain,
Yeah.
not all the rain gear in the world is not going to help you. Not even those yellow fishing rain gears, Just,
Oh
it,
no, the wind's gonna get in it.
yep. It's going to get in and you're going to get so wet you can't get any wetter. The only
Nope.
difference is the rain gear stopped the wind so you didn't get cold.
Hey, as long as my helmet's not, water's not coming up my helmet like this, I'll
Yep. And if it is, just open the visor, let it come out.
be all right. I don't think the bike's gonna be running if it gets that deep. But yeah, we're gonna have fun.
Yep.
Uh, it'll be a blast. Hopefully, I'm taking my laptop to edit some videos if I got time because I got 2 other videos filmed that's just sitting there. I got a new one coming out tomorrow that I
Yep.
actually got
You
done and
and
put
Nori
up.
both have a new video coming out tomorrow. Looking forward to
Yep,
it.
Nori does too.
Yep. So if you guys haven't checked out Gliding on Twos or DDK or Tweedledee, go ahead, check out the YouTube channels. They have some good information. When Tweedle puts it out, it's good information. Might be sparse between times, but he does put it out and it is good information.
Yeah, I'm not the perfect YouTuber, but I do try to put out good stuff. I think tomorrow's video is gonna be a lot of people like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
So we'll
You know
see.
what? When you and I discussed it, I'm like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, like your suspension installation tool. Why did I think of that?
I believe in working smarter, not harder.
Yep.
Now you got a reason to bring it home.
Yeah. Well, it's up there in my mom's storage
Yep.
building. So whenever I get this carport enclosed and slabbed up, then it's getting brought down here for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to end this live. We can hang out and chat some more. But everybody, thank you for coming in tonight. Really appreciate it. I want everybody to live the best life you can. Ride often and ride hard.
Peace.